knowing that the United States might lose this game. But even if the United States had lost the game, nobody would have really criticized because it's Mexico, it's Azteca, it's impossible to win there. And yet it worked. It was a moment of sheer brilliance from Bruce Arena, and everybody thought that was what turned.
That was a shining moment. In my opinion, that was Bruce Arena's shining moment. The tactical masterclass to hold Mexico at bay at Azteca. It was awesome. I mean, it was fantastic to watch. They matched them in almost every phase of the park. And then you go back to this lethargic 4-4-2.
It's old.
This dinosaur.
I do wonder if Bruce Arena thought the 4-4-2 was going to be just enough to get them there, and then he would have started to experiment after they had qualified. Maybe that was in the back of his mind. I think that was. I don't think Bruce Arena is dumb. Okay? I think he's a decent manager.
I really don't.
I think he's done wonders for U.S. soccer, right? He took the United States to the quarterfinals in 2002. But that was 2002. When he took over LA and he guided them to the MLS Cups. Great. But he was still of that old school mind, and it's just not working for this game, for this team. But Armand, who do you blame more? Bruce or the players?
To be honest with you, if we're looking at this right now, like I said, how can you blame Bruce for going to a formation that worked and that you won 4-0 literally 3 nights before? It has to be some on the players. I mean, the players have to. Let's criticize these guys like Alexi Lawless did. They seem to be really fired up and really happy when they were talking about Alexi Lawless criticizing them. Now what? They missed the World Cup. I think some blame does need to fall on the players. They looked very sluggish, looked very lethargic. Like I said, it felt like only 3 or 4 players gave a damn. To be honest,
Pulisic was the only one that had heart.
I'd say Dempsey too.
As a 19-year-old kid, you're what is your dream?
Your country is on the line.
Not even that, Armand. What is the dream of any 10-year-old soccer player playing on the street? Whether you're in Argentina,
to play in the World Cup,
Africa, Asia, it's to play in the World Cup. That's all you ever want as a kid, is to play in the World Cup in front of the globe. Shattering, heartbreaking. Just scrolling through Twitter. This is one tweet I saw. If U.S. Soccer got MLS, NASL, USL to make player development more of a priority, this would have never happened. And I think that's such a stupid thing to say. The players, on an individual level, are good enough, if not better, than majority of the players in CONCACAF. If you had to make a list of the top 100 players, you'd find all 11 American players on that list. Easily. The starting players. Christian Pulisic is the best player in CONCACAF. But to blame MLS is so stupid because MLS has done wonders for Costa Rica, Honduras, Panama, for all these other countries.
They have, and that's why I hate when people say, "Oh, it's MLS's fault." I mean, if it was MLS's fault, why is Panama qualifying? Why is Honduras qualifying? Why did Costa Rica with Urania scoring 2 qualify? It's stupid things like that push a country back. They try to find something to blame when there's nothing really to blame but the players themselves. We look to blame MLS immediately. What's MLS done? MLS has improved. We have players that play in the South American qualifiers. We have players that play in the UEFA.
You had a player start right now against. You had a player that plays in MLS start against Portugal for Switzerland. Jamaili.
Exactly, Jamaili. And people are going to point the fingers at the wrong things. There's a bunch of people who I'm gonna be a little blunt, who don't really pay attention to soccer outside the national team, and I feel like they're kind of blinded. I do feel like that some of our younger players need to go to Europe to develop. I mean, look how Yedlin developed. That's the case today. But to blame MLS as a whole is wrong, because look around us. Look, I think the blame shouldn't fall on MLS. The blame should fall on what the hell happened, that we're still using the last limbs of Clint Dempsey, of Tim Howard, of some of these players are just they're not good enough anymore. They're not good enough anymore. And I know you want to talk about the phantom goal, but Steven, I don't think we should even talk about the phantom goal, because the United States needed a tie against Trinidad and Tobago to advance. The phantom goal, okay, man, whatever, it happens. But if people are going to point to that instead of their inability to tie Trinidad and Tobago, then they're too brainwashed to understand how poor this United States national team had played. If they needed a goal to go there, some call like that to go their way, like a technicality or something like that to go their way to make a playoff.
Yeah.
So think about that for a second before if we're gonna talk about the phantom goal. I think it's an irrelevant thing. They lost to Trinidad and Tobago.
I mean, that if that phantom goal hadn't gone in, blah blah
blah blah blah. They would have lost to Australia.
It would have. It wouldn't. Yes, it would have changed the outcomes. We'd be sitting here probably. It would have caused different outcomes. Yes, but at the end of the day, United States had the World Cup in literally both their hands, and they let it slip away. I don't know how they let it slip away. The players did not want to play in the World Cup. That's what it looked like. That's what it felt like. And they have let down the country. And the only positive thing that could come out of this, Armand, is the fact that we're talking about this as a nation. I got updates from CNN, Fox News, the AP, from Yahoo. This is the leading story right now in the Twitter's world, in sports media, on phone updates. This is the leading story because this is huge. You always thought the United States will at least get to the World Cup, and then after that, we'll see what happens, and we'll see if we improve. This is the only positive that can come out of this, is that we get talking about it and we make wholesale changes. But if we're not making any changes, then we're screwed. Even more.
Hey, absolutely, Steven. And I don't know if I should talk about it now, but I really want to talk about some of the issues. I mean, should we talk about it now?
Well, we're going to take a quick break. Do want to repeat. The United States haven't missed a World Cup since 1986. They will do so.
Well, update that stat. 2017, baby.
Yeah, well, we're going to take that stat will now have changed. But nope, 2018, we will not be there. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk about what our mom wants to talk about. And we're going to talk about Taylor Twellman, because he finally said something on ESPN that I think lit a little spark in soccer world. Taylor Twellman following the footsteps of Alexi Lawless.
I want to come back with a quote. It's from the current president of United States Soccer.
Oh, this got to be good.
He said, after loss tonight, you don't make wholesale changes on a ball being 2 inches wide or 2 inches in. We'll look at everything. To be honest, this guy won't be president in the next election comes around.
Gone.
He's gone. I'm sorry, Sunil Gulati. Nah. Get the hell out of here. You make wholesale changes on your team missing the World Cup. That's all I have to say about that topic.
We've been talking about it for weeks about the lack of development and this missing generation. This is why we get a bunch of old guys trying to qualify for the World Cup. Obviously, this has to do with the lack of development in at least our generation, which I would be the age of generation right now where the players are lacking. Christian Pulisic is 19, Costa's 22, Areola is 21 or 22, somewhere around there. But besides for those three players, the Olympic teams have failed. You've had failure in development from MLS. MLS just started to get smart about that. So we're not going to see that transition for another couple of years. Okay? Yes, you have players playing in Europe. Sadly, John Brooks was out. I think he would have helped out this national team. The Johnson call-up, maybe, hindsight's always 20/20, but maybe that could have changed everything. It's crazy, Armand. Australia must be licking their chops knowing they have a real excellent shot of now qualifying for the World Cup, knowing that they don't have to face the U.S.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And you're talking about development, Steven, just brought up the topic I wanted to talk about, which was just some of the issues that have been bothering me, and I just want to unleash them out in the United States. But before we talk about that, I want to talk about Taylor Twellman's comments. He just had a rant on ESPN talking about how the media just seem to give excuses, and it's spot on, Taylor. His if you go look it up, I really highly recommend you do. His rant is spot on. He talks about how the media is just criticizing, is kind of like, not really criticizing the players. They're kind of repelling it, this and that. Other countries are just going at them, left and right. We're giving excuses to these guys, saying they're playing on tough fields and whatnot. But he did mention something that, Steven, you said Switzerland did as well. So I want you, can you elaborate on that and what really it was for our viewers?
Yeah, so Taylor Twellman mentions the 2000 era of Germany, where they kind of laid eggs. And Germany looked at themselves and realized, we got to change everything. So they got the Bundesligas, the top division, the second division, the third division, the fourth. They started to realize and to redevelop their player, how they redevelop their academy system, basically. And they focus on bringing the youngsters. Switzerland, in fact, did the same thing. They invested money, and now you're seeing the U17 back in, I think, 2009 won the World Cup. The Swiss U17 team. I remember that because I watched it. It was an awesome experience. A good majority of those players, I think Rodriguez, the right back, Xhaka.
From Milan. Yeah.
Yeah. Arsenal, midfielder, Swiss. Seferovic, who actually scored the winner against Nigeria in the final. They're all playing for the A team. So the Swiss realize we need to develop the academies. We need to develop the players. It's not about our clubs. It's the investment into the youth. That is what's going to drive this national team. Because when the youth are doing well and they succeed, what do you think other youth are going to do? They want to follow the footsteps of their friends. They realize there's money to be made. There's also a cultural shift that happened in Switzerland. That's where my parents are from. That is what I'm super bummed. Now I'm even more bummed that the United States are out. Switzerland have to go to a playoff after they've lost one freaking game to the same score in which they beat Portugal in Basel 1 year ago in September. Portugal and Switzerland have the same record, and they beat each other by the same score. But because Portugal scored a few extra goals against countries like Gibraltar, which was not in our group, but I don't know what are the crappy teams in the group, they're off to the World Cup, and Switzerland has to play a playoff, home and away series or legs with somebody, and they could miss the World Cup, which is insane. Meanwhile, the United States just needed a freaking draw or out. But the problem with U.S. soccer, and this is what happened in Switzerland, is culturally speaking, the money was never there for players to realize, I want to do this. If you're a young athlete in the United States, what do you want to play? It's not soccer, and this is actually going to hurt that even more. Yeah, Christian Pulisic playing at the World Cup would have been great. You could have had you would have had players line up asking their parents, I want to play soccer.